Batwoman number 19, written by J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman, art by Trevor McCarthy. So last issue, we had Chase go down to the beach to meet up with some mysterious figure that apparently she hadn't seen in 2 years. And this issue immediately picks up with, it's her sister. I don't know if we're supposed to know the sister. It doesn't feel like it. But regardless, she says like, oh, hey, I thought you were killed in action, Cameron. And Chase is like, oh, no, that was our dad. And so they just get off to a little thing on how their dad used to be a vigilante, used to like dress up and crime fight and whatnot, and it got him killed. And Chase apparently does what she does with the DEO in order to make sure that nobody is dressing up and going out there as vigilantes anymore. And Terry, her sister, is like, nah, I've just been living in a nomad lifestyle. I've been moving constantly. I've been disappearing. Like, yeah, no, it's just a whole thing. I'm off the grid. And they have this little flashback about how Chase asked Terry for advice on her date to the prom, and she had a wonderful time and whatnot. And basically, the meetup here is that Chase is asking for advice on what to do. She feels bad about what the DEO is asking her to do, but she views it as for such a greater purpose that it has to be worth it. And while she can't give all the details to her sister, she's saying like, oh, I have to choose between doing something horrible and doing what might be right. And she's like, well, that's not like a choice. You do what's right. What are you even here for? And so they get a little bit bickery with each other. And finally, at the end, she says, like, oh, I need to make sure that no one else ends up like you. And Terry's like, okay, bye now. Don't come back. So she hops back in the helicopter and sees that Bones makes sure that that Batwoman is there. They're going to set up their trump card or whatever. So cut to Maggie, who is on a bridge, and she sees there's a dead body of a young child. And Bullock is there saying, oh, it's the weeping woman again. She's back. She's killed another. And as they follow this trail of blood, they see another dead body and another and another and another. And as she makes her way off the bridge, she comes down to the riverbank and they see Kate there. And she's saying, oh, don't worry. I found them all. And turns out this is just a nightmare. Maggie wakes up and she apparently the last one was her own child, Jamie. So she wakes up. She's definitely shook, and Kate's like, hey, look, I'm here. I want you to be able to talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I feel like this might be the scarecrow toxin you breathed in. And she's like, nope, I got to deal with this on my own because you have no idea what I'm going through in regards to these children. So at that point, we go to Kate's dad, Jacob, who I thought last issue it might have been a flashback. Turns out this is his new wife, I guess, who found out about Betts being a vigilante. And so Jacob is showing her all the stuff and is saying like, yep, this is our headquarters, this is where we do everything. And the wife, which I don't think they ever say, no, sorry, Catherine. To have a Kate and a Catherine is very confusing. But Catherine's like, okay, one of your daughters just became a sociopath and died. One of them became a vigilante, and now you want to do the same thing for Bet? Like, maybe you shouldn't be acting as the father figure here. And Jacob just tells her, like, hey, she was going to do it anyway. I'm just offering her some structure. I'm trying to save her. And Catherine gets really pissed off about that. Just like, no, she's like this because she's like you. She has Cain blood. Like, this is exactly what you guys are like. You're stubborn. So at that point, she basically says, like, look, I'm willing to let this happen just so I can be here and actually provide some emotional support for this poor young girl. But to make that happen, I need you to tell me everything. Because if you're hiding anything from me, I will leave you and I will never come back. And Jacob takes a second and he says, I think I have a son. We don't get back to that, but I will. So then we go into a fight scene. Bet and Kate are teaming up against someone named The Shard. I'm not familiar, but regardless, they show how they're teaming up to fight together, and there's little writing on top of each panel saying how Bet managed to mess up throughout the fight, like, oh, here, watch this and watch that, do this other thing. And turns out Shard was attacking off-duty DEO agents, and when questioned, Shard says, because nobody steals from the religion of crime. So then we see after the fight, all the writing was from Batwoman basically showing Bet how she can improve. And Bet's like, hey, why do you think you're working with the DEO? And why do you think the religion of crime thing is involved? And she says, doesn't matter. You're not getting involved with the DEO. To which point, Bet makes the point of, aren't you working for them? If they're so bad, maybe you should get out. And she basically says it's not that simple. And when Bet calls her out for it and says, okay, look, if you're not able to share in that with me, then we're not partners anymore. I can't trust you. I got to go do my own thing. She says good luck, and Batwoman's like, I never said you were my partner. Get out of here. So then we cut to a ship where Chase and Agent Asaf from last issue are just playing shuffleboard waiting for her. Batwoman shows up and threatens Agent Asaf to say, hey, why is the Shard claiming that you stole from them? And when Chase doesn't give in to the threat that she's going to actually hurt somebody, she's like, look, okay, here's the thing. You want answers? You got to talk to Bones. Bones inside. He's waiting. Let's go. So go inside, and Bones is like, hey, I need you to find out Batman's identity. And Batwoman says no. And she says, okay, but here's the deal. Recently, a Robin died, we think, and right now he's the most emotional he's going to be. If he's going to slip up, it's going to be now. And Batwoman says, no. And then he says, okay, well, if that's what you're saying, then I'm going to go ahead and throw your father in jail. And she's like, go ahead. He'll understand. What you're asking me is stupid. And he says, all right, fine, whatever. But I'm also going to tell your dad that you didn't save your sister when you could. And she's like, what do you mean? And turns out video feed starts and she sees her sister Beth is in DEO custody, and Beth is saying some lines from Alice in Wonderland, because of course she is. And then she looks up at the camera and says, I'd like to see my sister now. Okay, so all of that was fine. It was all very well drawn. It was all very well done. Trevor McCarthy doesn't go as crazy with the layouts as the original issues did. I can't remember if it was Blackman or William doing the arts on that, but regardless, it's fine art. It's perfectly okay. I think my biggest issue with it is that we're doing the I think I might have a son thing, in that I'm so tired of long lost siblings. It's too much. I don't want it anymore. We literally opened this issue up with Chase revealing that she has a sister, and we're just doing it again halfway through the issue. My personal opinion is it's lazy. Is that if you have to go back and say, oh, and there was a secret child that I never... No, stop. It's not good. Especially when you have fully fleshed out everything else. So overall, that was disappointing. The rest of it's whatever. I mean, we were always just going to get to the point where Kate's meeting up with Beth again. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But I got to give this one I'll give it a 6.5. But I cannot in good conscience give it a 7 when we're doing pretty basic stuff all throughout. And then hitting it with and then I had a son thing. Okay, whatever, sure.